What's up, Wrestle Scope Nation? Before we get into today's video, let me ask you something that's been eating at me for months now. When was the last time you saw a WWE World Champion lose a match clean in the middle of the ring? Think about it. Really think about it. Because while Gunther stands tall as one of the most protected wrestlers on the entire roster, the very system that built him into an unstoppable force is simultaneously destroying everything that made professional wrestling great in the first place. And I know what you're thinking, but Gunther is amazing. He's a throwback. He's what wrestling needs. And you're absolutely right. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to talk about. Gunther's near-perfect booking isn't just making him look strong. It's exposing a creative philosophy that's quietly killing the unpredictability, the drama, and the emotional investment that once made WWE unmissable television. Stay with me, because what I'm about to break down is going to make you see the current product in a completely different light. Let's establish the facts first. Gunther, formerly known as Walter in NXT UK, has been booked like an absolute monster since his main roster debut. His Intercontinental Championship reign lasted a mind-blowing 666 days, the longest in over 3 decades. He barely lost during that entire stretch. Fast forward to 2024, and he's now a former World Heavyweight Champion who dominated the King of the Ring tournament, steamrolled through SummerSlam, and has been protected more carefully than nuclear launch codes. On paper, this is exactly what we asked for, right? We begged WWE for years to stop the constant 50-50 booking. We demanded they build new stars properly. We wanted someone who felt larger than life, someone who could make us believe in the aura of professional wrestling again, and Gunther delivered all of that and more. His matches are clinic-level masterpieces. His chops echo through arenas like gunshots. His presence demands respect. When Gunther walks to the ring, you feel like you're watching a final boss enter the arena. He's the complete package, the in-ring general we've been starved for in an era of flippy high spots and rushed storytelling. But here's where things get interesting, and frankly, deeply concerning. Gunther's dominant booking works because he's an exceptional talent. But the problem isn't Gunther himself. It's that WWE has decided this is the only way to book their top stars now. And when everyone at the top is booked as nearly invincible, you don't create stars. You create a creative wasteland where outcomes become predictable and the very essence of competition dies. Let me paint you a picture. In the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression periods, Stone Cold Steve Austin lost, The Rock lost, Triple H lost, Kurt Angle lost. And I'm not talking about fluke roll-ups or distraction finishes. They lost clean. They lost in ways that made you question whether they could come back. Those losses created doubt, and doubt creates drama, and drama creates appointment television. When Austin lost the WWE Championship to Kane in June 1998, it was shocking because it felt real. When The Rock lost to Hurricane Helms, yes, Hurricane Helms, in a non-title match on Raw in 2003, it was absurd, but it made Hurricane look like $1 million, and The Rock was so over it didn't hurt him one bit. Compare that to today. Can you imagine Cody Rhodes losing clean to someone like Ilya Dragunov on a random SmackDown? Can you picture Gunther getting pinned in the middle of the ring by Sheamus without some massive storyline justification? Of course not, because WWE has created an environment where their top stars exist in a protective bubble so thick that it's suffocating the entire mid-card. And here's the kicker. This doesn't just affect the top of the card. It creates a domino effect that devastates everything below it. When your main event scene is booked as untouchable, every other tier below it becomes devalued by default. Let me explain this through Gunther's own journey. During his legendary Intercontinental Championship reign, Gunther defended that title against incredible talent. Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Chad Gable, and many others. These matches were fantastic. But here's the problem. Everyone knew Gunther was winning. There was zero doubt. The outcome was so predictable that these matches, as great as they were from a work rate perspective, lacked the one ingredient that makes wrestling addictive: genuine uncertainty. Chad Gable's story is the perfect case study. His matches with Gunther were some of the best television matches in years. The storytelling was crisp, the psychology was beautiful, and Gable looked like a legitimate threat. But we all knew that he wasn't winning that title. And when you know the outcome before the bell rings, you're not watching a fight, you're watching a choreographed exhibition. This creates a psychological barrier for the audience. If Chad Gable, who looked phenomenal and had the crowd behind him, couldn't beat Gunther, then what chance does anyone else have? You've accidentally told your audience that this entire tier of wrestlers simply isn't on the same level. You've created a glass ceiling that's visible from space. And it gets worse. Because when Gunther finally moved up to the World Championship picture, WWE did the exact same thing with whoever holds the Intercontinental Championship next. Rinse and repeat. This cycle continues, and the mid-card becomes a holding pattern instead of a launching pad. Now, let's talk about something that's going to upset some people, but it needs to be said. When you book Gunther as an unstoppable force, you inadvertently make everyone else look weak by comparison, including your actual world champions. Think about Cody Rhodes' current run. Cody is over, Cody is talented, Cody is undeniably one of the top stars in the company. But when you watch a Cody Rhodes match, there's interference, there's drama, there's chaos. He wins, but it often feels chaotic. He's vulnerable. Now compare that to Gunther during his peak. Gunther didn't need help. Gunther didn't need weapons. Gunther walked in, chopped your chest into hamburger meat, and walked out as the superior athlete. Clean, dominant, decisive. What message does that send to your audience? It subtly suggests that Gunther is booked stronger than your actual top champion. It creates this weird hierarchy where the guy who's supposedly one step below the main event actually feels more legitimate than the people in the main event. And this isn't just a Gunther problem, it's a philosophy problem. WWE has backed themselves into a corner where they believe strong booking means never losing, instead of understanding that strong booking means winning the matches that matter and losing in ways that build future storylines. So why does WWE book this way? Why have they become so terrified of letting their top stars lose? The answer is more complex than you might think, and it reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of what made wrestling's golden era so special. WWE is operating in an environment of constant competition, not just with AEW, but with every other form of entertainment. Streaming services, video games, social media, they're all fighting for the same eyeballs.
In this landscape, WWE has convinced themselves that their stars need to appear unbeatable to maintain credibility. But this logic is backwards. The reason people fell in love with Stone Cold wasn't because he won every match. It's because when he lost, it mattered. When he got screwed, we felt it. When he came back and got revenge, we celebrated. The emotional investment came from the journey, not from predictable dominance. WWE has forgotten that wrestling isn't about creating invincible superheroes. It's about creating compelling characters who face real adversity and overcome it in ways that make us believe in the impossible. When your top stars never face real adversity, there's no struggle, and without struggle, there's no emotional payoff. Gunther's booking is a symptom of this fear. WWE is so terrified of damaging their investment in him that they've wrapped him in bubble wrap. And while he remains credible, the entire ecosystem around him suffers because there's no room for surprise, no room for the kind of chaos that makes wrestling feel alive. Here's the thing that gives me hope. This is fixable. WWE doesn't need to destroy Gunther's aura to create better television. They need to embrace a more nuanced approach to storytelling. Imagine if Gunther lost a non-title match on Raw to someone like Ilya Dragunov, his longtime rival from NXT UK, in a hard-fought back-and-forth war. Does that damage Gunther? Absolutely not. It creates a new storyline, elevates Dragunov, and reminds the audience that on any given night, anyone can win. That's the magic of professional wrestling. Or imagine if Chad Gable had actually won the Intercontinental Championship during that legendary run, even if just for a month. The pop would have been seismic. You could have built an entire storyline around Gunther's obsession with reclaiming what he lost. Instead, we got predictable retention after predictable retention. The solution isn't to book everyone weak. It's to book everyone like they matter. Let your champions be vulnerable. Let your challengers get surprising wins. Create scenarios where the outcome isn't determined by who's higher on the card, but by the story being told in that specific moment. WWE needs to understand that protecting everyone equally is the same as protecting no one. When every top star is invincible, none of them are special. The hierarchy becomes static, and static storytelling is death for a weekly episodic medium. Look, I'm not here to bury Gunther. The man is phenomenal, and his work speaks for itself. But his dominant booking has inadvertently become a mirror that reflects WWE's biggest creative weakness, their inability to trust the audience with unpredictability. Wrestling thrives on chaos. It thrives on moments that make you jump off your couch. It thrives on genuine uncertainty about what happens next. When you can predict every major outcome 3 months in advance because you know WWE will never let their protected stars lose, you've removed the very element that makes this art form special. Gunther's booking isn't the problem, it's the symptom. The problem is a creative philosophy that values short-term protection over long-term storytelling. It's a system that's forgotten that the journey matters more than the destination. It's an approach that's creating a roster of champions who feel more like video game bosses than real competitors. WWE has the talent, they have the production, they have the global platform. What they need is the courage to let their stars be human again. to let them lose, to let them struggle, to let them create the kind of unpredictable, emotional storytelling that turned casual viewers into lifelong fans. Until that changes, we'll continue to get phenomenal wrestlers like Gunther, who are booked so strongly that they accidentally expose how weak the system around them has become. So what do you think, Wrestle Scope Nation? Am I completely off base here, or have I touched on something you've been feeling for a while? Do you think Gunther's booking is perfect, or does it expose the cracks in WWE's creative foundation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear your perspective on this. If this video made you think differently about the current product, smash that like button and help us reach more wrestling fans who love these deep dive discussions. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're breaking down the business, the booking, and the behind-the-scenes stories that casual fans never see. Share this with your wrestling friends. Let's get a conversation going, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want WWE to be as great as we know it can be. Until next time, this is Wrestle Scope, and I'll see you in the next one.